हरि ओम। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गाये नमः। ओम श्री राम रामाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयम् नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। शङ्करं परमानन्दं ब्रह्मनिष्ठं यतीश्वरं भाष्यभ्रान्तिहरं वन्दे शुद्धज्ञानैकबोधकम्। ओम नमः शिवाय। 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 नमः पार्वती पतये। हर हर महादेव। Hari Om, Hari Om. We'll begin with the Shanti mantra. Om Apyayantu mamangani Vak pranachakshusrotramatho Balamindriyani cha sarvani Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्तु निराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्माः ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरि ओम्। We'll chant from the first verse, first mantra of the 16th section. Esha tu vati vadati yasattena ati vadati सोऽहं भगवः सत्येन अतिवदानिति सत्यं त्वेव विजिज्ञासितव्यमिति सत्यं भगवो विजिज्ञास इति यदा वै विजानाति अथ सत्यं वदति नाविजानन् सत्यं वदति विजानन्नेव सत्यं वदति विज्ञानं त्वेव विजिज्ञासितव्यमिति विज्ञानं भगवो विजिज्ञास इति So we are studying this most beautiful chapter of Chandogya Upanishad, the 7th chapter. It begins with the story of Naradji approaching his brother, and he requests his brother to teach him Atma Vidya. And his brother Sanat Kumarji, who is the teacher, he asks Naradji, what have you learned so far? What do you know about this Atma so far? So Naradji enumerates the long list, which includes the Vedas, the Itihas, and the various Vidyas, which is nothing but the knowledge of this entire world, knowledge of everything, knowledge of the matter, knowledge of activities, knowledge of the result of activities, everything which Naradji learned. The teacher tells him that what you know is only Nam, only name, a word, a name. Subtler than that name or greater than that name is speech, vak, with which we utter that name. And greater than vak is the mind with which we think. Only when we think we utter the name. And subtler than the mind is the sankalpa. That thought comes, desire comes to think and speak and act. That is the sankalpa. Subtler than the sankalpa is the chitta, which gives us understanding of the presence, surrounding situation around. Subtler than that is the dhyana, ability to focus one's attention on one particular thought. And subtler than that is vijnanam, an understanding, experiential understanding of the world, of the things around. Subtler than that is bala, strength. And that strength is derived from the food which we eat. So the food is the cause for the body, the mind. And subtler than the food is its cause. It is water. Subtler than water is tej, heat. Subtler than heat is akash. And subtler than akash is smara, memory. And subtler than memory is asha, desires. So right from Nam all the way to desires are all the complicated expression of this world. But this whole thing is held together, sustained by subtler than that, that is prana. And through this prana only, that supreme reality Brahma expresses as a jiva. So what I experience as I am is an experience of that supreme reality alone through prana and through the body, mind, senses. Even when I am in deep sleep, I continue to exist, expressing my presence through the prana. So that I, which is expressing in this body, mind, senses through the pranas, is what is called Kshetrajna, is also called Jiva, is also the Jnata, the knower, is also the Bhokta, the enjoyer, is also the doer of action, is the subject. So just as I am expressing in this body, and I know myself as the Kshetrajna, that similarly in all the bodies of human beings, animal, birds, plant, devatas, there is this Kshetrajna, the knower of that body and the knower of the world around them. So the first person to be born is Hiranyagarbha, who holds the entire creation, who sustains the entire creation. From Hiranyagarbha is born Vaishvanara, and then the entire creation. So this prana is very, very subtle, and it is a force because of which all the activities happen, not only in this body mind, but even in nature. All the activities are possible because of this prana only. So when I understand this prana, I understand my own presence. I come to understand myself expressing through this prana. So that is the knowledge of Kshetrajna. And having understood this Kshetrajna, one can understand the Kshetrajna as the very Adhar, the support of this whole creation. But this is not the supreme knowledge. One has to recognize the real nature of the Kshetrajna just by knowing the Kshetrajna expressing through this prana itself is not the supreme knowledge. Because this prana also is constantly changing, and all that we see in this world is constantly changing. So with respect to change, I understand myself as the knower of this change. But that is not the ultimate understanding. So the teacher in this 16th section tells Naradji that one who knows that Satya, he alone is the real knower. What you know is asatya or andrita. Andrita means changing phenomena. The world, all that we know, is constantly changing. Though it is existing, but as its expression, it is changing. So you should know that Satya. Only one who knows that Satya is the real knower. He alone is the Ativadi. So Naradji requests the teacher to teach him that Satya, to reveal that Satya. Naradji says that I have the jidnyasa to know that Satya. So the teacher tells Naradji in the next mantra, 17th section, first mantra, कि यदा वै विजानाति अत सत्यम वदति. This satyam, not only one has to know it, but one has to realize it. Vijnana of that satya is the realization, direct experience of that satya. Not just knowing it theoretically, but actually identifying with that satya as myself. And that is what is called Vijnana here. Ki yada vai vijanati ata satyam vadati. Na avijanan satyam vadati. Without knowing that, without realizing that satya, one cannot speak about it. Vijanan eva satyam vadati. Vijnanam tveva vijitnyasitavyam iti. So one should know, one should realize that satya. So Naradji again requests his teacher. He says that I want to know that realization. Vijnanam bhagavo vijitnyasa iti. So this is the final goal which one has to attain of a realization. After recognizing, after understanding that I am the Kshetrajna, one has to understand, one has to realize the Kshetrajna, the real nature of Kshetrajna as Brahma, as that Bhuma. Then only our understanding will be complete, our realization will be complete. So, this enlightenment or realization is the goal, but what are the steps which will lead us towards this realization? That also the teacher now reveals in the following mantras. They are like he gives all the steps. So following those steps, we can arrive at this enlightenment, at this realization. Shankaracharya ji writes in his commentary कि यदि एवं विज्ञानं भगवो विजिज्ञास इति एवं सत्यादीनां च उत्तरोत्तराणां करोति अन्तानां पूर्वपूर्वहेतुत्वं व्याख्येयम्. Shankaracharya says that starting from Satya, then the teacher talks about Vijnana. Thereafter, he will talk about Mati, then Shraddha, Nishtha, and Kriti. So, Kriti is the first step. Then Nishtha, Shraddha, Mati, and Vijnana, which leads to Vijnana. So, step by step, the teacher reveals this path towards enlightenment. Let us read this first mantra of the 18th section and contemplate on this path which is revealed. So 18th section, first mantra. Yada vai manute ath vijanati namatva vijanati matvaiva vijanati matistveva vijitnyasitavyeti matim bhagavo vijitnyasa iti. Again. Yada vai manute ath vijanati namatva vijanati matvaiva vijanati matistveva vijitnyasitavyeti matim bhagavo vijitnyasa iti. The teacher says कि यदा वै manute ath vijanati, when a person contemplates, when the seeker does mananam, then alone one realizes, one gains that enlightenment. Na amatva vijanati, without contemplation, one cannot gain that enlightenment. Na amatva vijanati. And he stresses on this, he says, matva eva vijanati. Only by contemplation one can gain this enlightenment. One can know. Therefore, matistveva vijitnyasitavyeti, one should understand this mati, this mananam. One should understand it properly and practice it. So when the teacher said that, Naradji again requests the teacher, Ki matim bhagavo vijitnyasa iti, that I want to know this mati, I want to know this contemplation. Shankaracharya ji writes a brief commentary on this. He says, Yada vai manuta iti matihi. What is the meaning of the word mati? So he says mananam. Mati means mananam, thinking, contemplation, reflection. Tarka, using tarka, logic. And also mantavya vishaya adaraha, and having great respect and reverence toward the topic of contemplation. So that is what is called mati or mananamya. So let us think a little bit about this. See, all our shastras, they talk about gaining this knowledge of our own self. Just like here also, Naradji also understood that one who knows the self alone transcends all sorrow. Shokam tarati atmavita. And atmavit only crosses all sorrow. Even in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan teaches this Atma Vidya to Arjuna who had that sorrow. In the beginning itself, Bhagwan tells Arjuna that Ashochananvashochastvam prajnavadanscha bhashase gatasona gatasanscha nanushocanti panditaha. That you are speaking like a great wise person, but you are grieving. An enlightened person doesn't grieve. So if you want to become free of all this grief, you have to gain that enlightenment, means you have to gain self-knowledge. So how can we gain this self-knowledge? How can we gain this self-knowledge? Is the self something which is totally unknown? Or is it known? Actually, the self is not totally unknown. Every one of us, we know our own self. We know our own existence. Only by knowing ourselves, we think and we perform actions. We have desires. All our activities are possible only after having that understanding of our own self. So I know myself, but I only know myself in general. Means I know that I exist. All of us, we know our own existence. We know I exist. No one has got this ignorance that I don't exist. Everyone knows that I exist. But who exactly am I, that is not known. See, even when we are in deep sleep, I continue to exist. So when I wake up, I say I slept happily. But who am I? What is my nature? That is not known to me. So wrongly, I take this body as myself, or I take the senses as myself, or I consider the mind as myself, or some emotions or some concepts of the intellect I consider as myself. So I have a wrong notion about myself. I know I am, but since I don't know exactly who am I, every one of us, we have wrong notions about ourselves. And because of these wrong notions, we suffer also in this world. We have fear of death because I think I am this body and body will die, so I will die. We have experience of sorrow, pain because those thoughts are there in the mind and I think they are mine. When there is sorrowful thought, then I say that I have sorrow, I am unhappy. So identifying with the mind, the intellect, the senses, I suffer. So I have to recognize myself as I really am. I have to gain my knowledge of my own real nature. But how can I gain this knowledge of myself? If I try to gain knowledge through the senses, the senses are incapable of giving me my own knowledge. Through my senses, I can understand the world around. I can perceive the world. But the senses fail to give me my own knowledge because the senses don't reach me. When I am alone in deep sleep, the senses are not functioning there. The intellect is also not functioning there. The senses cannot touch me. So senses cannot reveal my identity to me. And the pramanas, the means of knowledge, which depends on the senses, like pratyaksha, anuman, arthapatti, upamanam, they also fail to give me my own knowledge. They also cannot reveal me my own knowledge of my own self. So what is the way out? So there is one more praman which reveals my knowledge to me, and that is called Shastra Praman, or this Vedanta, the Upanishads. The Upanishads reveal my own knowledge to me. So how do Upanishads reveal this knowledge? Through those Mahavakyas, like we have seen in the previous chapter, like Tattvamasi, or other Mahavakyas like Aham Brahmasmi, Ayam Atma Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma. So through this Mahavakyas, the Upanishad reveal my identity to me. So these Mahavakyas are like Praman. They are the means. So in this Mahavakya, like for example, the Mahavakya Aham Brahmasmi, there are these three words are there. Aham, Brahma, and Asmi. Aham means I, Asmi means am, Brahma is Brahma. So I am Brahma. But how does this give me that knowledge? One is I don't know myself, and the scripture brings one more term, Brahma, which also I don't know. So the Shastras in the beginning reveal the knowledge of Brahma using the worldly logic and worldly praman also. We see this world, it must have a cause. So, step by step, systematically, the Upanishads reveal the nature of that Brahma as the cause of this world. So the world which we see, made up of these five elements, Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jal, Prithvi, which is experienced through our five senses, and we experience them as Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. All these are experienced, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, in an object of this world. So this Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha also in their causal form must be separate. So there must be the cause of all this as only Shabda, only Rasa, only Gandha, and that is the Tanmatras. Then this Tanmatras also must have a cause, and that cause of this Tanmatra is Ahankar Tattva. And the cause of this Ahankar Tattva is Mahat Tattva. And this cause of Mahat Tattva is Avyakta. And the cause of this Avyakta is that Brahma. And Brahma itself is indicated as Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So through the world, the nature of Brahma is revealed as Satyam Jnanam Anantam. As different from this world, as the cause of this world, in which the world doesn't exist. Just like in the clay, the pot doesn't exist, but in pot, the clay exists. So in the world, Brahma exists, but in Brahma, there is no world. So the world which we experience is constantly changing, which is called asatyam. So that asatyam is not there in Brahma, therefore it is satyam. World is inert, jada. That jadata is not there in Brahma, therefore it is jnanam. World is limited. Those limitations are not there in Brahma. So Brahma is anantam, infinite. So through the world, we can understand that Brahma intellectually as Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So using our intellect by deep contemplation, we have to understand the nature of Brahma as Satyam Jnanam Anantam. So Brahma is to be understood. And I know myself as I am existing. I know my own existence. But exactly who am I don't know. So intellectually I know Brahma. Experientially I know myself. And the scripture then reveals the identity of this through the Mahavakya Tattvamasi. So with faith, with proper understanding, when I listen to this Mahavakya from the teacher, then that identity, that knowledge happens that I am Brahma. This conviction happens that I am Brahma. In the beginning, we may have some doubts. How can I be Brahma? So in order to remove those doubts, we have to do contemplation. Contemplation or mananam helps in removing the doubts. And when the doubts are removed, then the knowledge happens. When this Mahavakya is heard from the teacher, then the knowledge I am Brahma takes place spontaneously. Because this knowledge doesn't depend on our activity or our purushartha. The knowledge happens as a result of that praman only. Say, for example, our eyes are praman. And if suppose an object is there in front of me, when this pot is there in front of me, and my eyes are open, then the knowledge of that pot, the shape and the color happens. I don't have to do anything. It depends on that object itself. Therefore, knowledge is called Vastu Tantra. It depends on the Vastu, on that object. For example, if let us say a red rose is there. So when I look at it, then the knowledge of that rose happens. The shape and the color, the knowledge takes place. I don't have to do anything, and I cannot change anything about it. If that rose is red, then the knowledge of that rose as red alone will happen. It doesn't depend on my likes and dislikes. It doesn't depend on my activity. Therefore, knowledge is not an activity. Knowledge is not an activity. See, when we perform some activity, it depends on us. We can do it in one way, we can do it in some other way. It depends on us. So it is Purusha Tantra. Activities are Purusha Tantra. Even when we do some upasana, some dhyana, if that object of meditation is there, then we put forth effort to meditate. That also depends on us. But knowledge doesn't depend on us. Knowledge is the result of pramana, and it depends on that object which is known. If the red rose is there, then I will only gain knowledge as the red rose. There is no choice. If the praman is proper, if all conditions are proper, then I will gain the knowledge that it is a red rose. I may like blue rose, I may like white rose. But if it is red, then I will gain the knowledge of it as red rose only. It doesn't depend on me. It just happens. When the praman is proper and active, then that knowledge just happens. If this is understood, it's a subtle point which I am revealing here. For self-knowledge, the praman is this Mahavakya. like Tattvamasi. When the Tattvamasi, in that these three factors are there, I, Brahma, and our identity. Through the Mahavakya, the Upanishad tells me that you are Brahma. What I have understood intellectually as Brahma and what I subjectively understand as myself, the Shastras tell me that you are that Brahma. So through Mananam, if I don't have any doubts, through Mananam I have to remove only doubts. So when all the doubts are removed and when that Mahavakya is heard, then that realization happens that I am Brahma. Therefore, this knowledge is called Vastu Tantra. The knowledge of Brahma depends on Brahma only. It doesn't depend on our mind, intellect, senses, body. It is not an activity. Therefore, Shastra says that by Bhagwan's grace only, that knowledge happens. So what do we do through Mananam? We only remove all the doubts. We just negate all the doubts. So when through contemplation, through logic, through vivek, through yukti, when I think and all the doubts are eliminated, then the knowledge I am Brahma happens. Okay, again, let me put it in a different way. So all of us, all of you, all of us, we know ourselves. So after listening to all these pravachans, you should know yourself as Kshetrajna, as the Sushupta Atma, as the one who remains separated from the body, mind, intellect in deep sleep. That self you are. It doesn't have any senses, it doesn't have body, it doesn't have intellect, it doesn't have all these factors. I am just the presence, I am Sat, existence itself. That is what I am. So first, through Mananam, I have to be convinced that I am the Kshetrajna. Again and again the thought will come that I am the body, I am the mind, I am the senses, which I have to reject by contemplating, using logic and using my experience of deep sleep. I have to convince myself that I am Kshetrajna. Then, through the teachings of the Upanishads, I should understand this Brahma, nature of Brahma. In Bhagavad Gita also, in the 13th chapter, Bhagwan reveals the nature of that Brahma. Anadimat param Brahma nasattam nasaduchyate. This Brahma is anadimat. It doesn't have a adi. It doesn't have a beginning. It is param. And it cannot be indicated as sat as well as asat. Means it cannot be, it is not something which is known through the intellect as sat or asat. न तत्सत् सन्नासदुच्यते. See, there are things in this world which is known as sat, means which is known as existing. I say this book exists, and then there are certain things which doesn't exist. I say they don't exist. Both these are understood with my intellect. But this Brahma is even subtler than that it cannot be even understood as Sat nor as Asat. In the other Upanishads also, like in Kenopanishad, it was revealed this Brahma as different from the known and beyond the unknown. All that we know in this world is called known. And the cause of this world, which is Avyakta, that Prakriti, is unknown. But Brahma is beyond both known as well as that unknown. So through continuous contemplation on the words of the Shastras, we intellectually come to appreciate what is Brahma. Niyam Brahma. Brahma we come to know. And I know myself also, my own existence. And by listening to the Mahavakya, which says that you are that Brahma, I have to, that understanding happens that I am Brahma. Aham Brahmasmi. So this understanding happens only through contemplation. Without contemplation, it doesn't happen. And contemplation also can happen when we study the Shastras properly and have proper faith in those Shastras and also do our other sadhanas properly and purify our antakarana. So that is what is conveyed here. Yada vai manute atha vijanati. The teacher says that when you contemplate, you will realize. Na amatva vijanati. Without contemplation, you won't realize. See, many of us, we are experts in listening, Shravan, but we have to learn to do mananam also. And this mananam will lead to nididhyasan. That abidance in our own self will happen after mananam. So Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasan are the three steps mentioned in the Shastra to attain that enlightenment. So what helps in Mananam? What is that which will help us to contemplate? That the teacher now tells in the next mantra. We will read that mantra also in the next section. Now each section has got only one mantra. So the 19th section. Yada vai shraddadhati athamanute na shraddadhan manute shraddadhat eva manute shraddhatveva vijitnyasitavveti Shraddham Bhagavo Vijitnyasa iti. Teacher says कि यदा वै श्रद्धधाति अथम अनुते, when a person has got shraddha, faith, then only he contemplates. Faith in what? Astikya buddhi, faith in the Shastras, faith in the teacher, faith in Brahma, and faith in ourselves. Faith in ourselves, the Kshetrajna, faith in that supreme Brahma which is revealed. We should know that yes, there is this Brahma. It is not just some theory or some concept. It is a fact. And faith in the Shastras which reveal this truth. The Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, the Brahma Sutras, they reveal this supreme knowledge. Faith in them. And faith in the teacher. Because the teacher alone makes all this possible. By ourselves, we cannot study or we cannot gain this knowledge because we are ignorant. And through that ignorance, when we try to study and all, the knowledge will not happen. Therefore, in the previous chapter also we have seen कि आचार्यवान पुरुषो वेद, one who has got acharya, teacher, that person alone knows, gains this knowledge. So the teacher who has recognized that truth and who knows the Shastras, when such a teacher reveals this, then I come to understand myself as that Brahma. So it's very, very subtle, very interesting also. So yada vai shraddha dhati atham anute. In Gita also Bhagavan says कि श्रद्धावान लभते ज्ञानम, कि one who has got shraddha, faith, such a person gains knowledge. Because it is a leap into the unknown. That enlightenment happens when we take this leap into the unknown. And this leap into the unknown we can take only with faith. Because with our intellect and all, we can know only to a certain limit. That which is unknown is only experienced when we take the leap of faith. So yada vai shraddha dhati atham anute. So when we have that shraddha, we will contemplate, and all the more shraddha we have and the proper contemplation we do, then all our doubts will get removed. And when the doubts go away, then knowledge will happen. So ashraddadhan na ashraddadhan manute, one who doesn't have faith will not contemplate. When we don't believe what we are listening, when we don't have belief in the Shastras, when we don't have faith in that Brahma, when we don't have faith in ourselves, then we will not contemplate. And if we don't contemplate, we will not meditate. and we will not gain that enlightenment. So, na ashraddadhan manute, shraddadhat eva manute. One who has got shraddha alone meditates, alone contemplates. Therefore, the teacher tells Naradji, Shraddhatveva vijitnyasitavveti. So you understand this Shraddha and cultivate this Shraddha. Shraddha, the meaning of that term Shraddha also means Shraddhati, one with that capacity, that quality of our buddhi only, which can hold that truth, which can comprehend that Sat, which gets the capacity to comprehend that Sat. So Shraddhatveva vijitnyasitavveti. So you try to understand the Shraddha. Then Naraji says, Shraddham Bhagavo vijitnyasa iti. I want to understand Shraddha. Shankaracharya writes the meaning of Shraddha as astikya buddhi. Astikya means asti iti buddhi, that Brahma is, that understanding is called Shraddha. When we have that deep faith that yes, that Brahma which is revealed in the Shastra it is true. So astikya buddhi shraddha. So with shraddha, when we contemplate, all our doubts get eliminated and we gain that knowledge that I am Brahma, that enlightenment will happen. Now the question is, what gives rise to shraddha? What will help in developing that shraddha? That the teacher will reveal in the next mantra, which we will see in our class on Wednesday. So till then, you take care, be happy, safe, peaceful, healthy, do your work, do your sadhana. Contemplate, listen to the pravachan again. Think about it. Contemplate, try to understand. And we meet on Wednesday. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Jaya Jaya Ram. Jaya Jaya Ram. Boliye Siyavar Ramchandra Bhagwan ki Jai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.